Hello guys and welcome to this video. I don't really have any plan for this. I just wanted to make a video talking about, basically what I think would be a better game. Now, there's lots we're going to go into. I may be rambling. I'd be interested to hear you guys' thoughts, whether you agree, disagree with me, and please feel free to comment any suggestions that you think would just improve this game, because the community is very distasteful at the minute, and rightfully so. People aren't enjoying, what the product we're getting essentially. So we'll get into everything, and I hope you enjoy it. If you want the cheapest FC24 coins to get ahead of the competition, check out MMOEXP by clicking the link down below and use code JambooUK for 5% off. Okay, so like I said, I don't really have any plan for this. If you do agree or just enjoy this sort of video, please do leave a like for me. It's not my normal style of content, but once in a while, I definitely enjoy moaning about EA Sports, as I'm sure we all do from time to time. So, where do I even start, man? I'm not going to even moan, too much about, the way the game has gone, clearly, forcing people into the store, that sort of thing. That's not, as much as that is, like, really bad, it's not really the aim of the video. I want to, other than just, scrap this system and go back to the days of, you remember FIFA 18? We'll start here. So, we go into FUT Champs. Some of you guys may not even know this. Maybe the majority you do. I'm not really too sure. But obviously, back in the day, FUT Champions, it used to be 40 games. The rewards used to be insane, right? So you played 40 games a week. You had the monthly rewards. I remember if you were getting... Obviously, this is the vast minority. But just to give you an example of the scale... if you were getting top 100 in the world, you were getting like 40 something reds, I think it was. It was something ridiculous, along with a guaranteed monthly icon. People were... There was real encouragement to improve at the game. You were getting rewarded for your FUT Champions placements, and I think that's so important in a video game, in my opinion. The need and the want to improve as a player and really get on that grind to try and get to the top, I think is very healthy for any game. When you get to the point that we're at with EAFC, where people honestly don't even care to go into a game, it's all about the menu stuff, and people have no incentive to want to improve. People, we're at the point where, and I'm not saying they're wrong to do it, but people giving away games in champs because the games don't matter, they'd rather not put themselves through it. This is like, it's so unhealthy for a game, and I don't think we even realise, just how bad it is that this stuff goes on. And I'm not saying it's the fault of the people, because it's not. It's just the state the game is in, to the point where we don't even want to play. We'd rather just throw the games away, and that says a lot to me. So, it really blows my mind how we went from what we had 6 years ago, which was more games, better rewards, even a better system and a product, by the way. You guys may remember, we used to have a thing called the Champions channel, right? And it blows my mind. The game has actually regressed. We used to have a thing called the Champs channel, where you could go and watch the games in-game of all the top players in the world, and also your games would be saved on there as well. So you could go and watch back your own gameplay, look where to improve, the mistakes you're making, and then you can watch the best players in the world's games as well. It would select some of the best games from the top players in the world. EA Sports, where is the Champs channel? Like, how 6 years on has the product actually got worse? That one really blows my mind. The Champs channel was such a good product. It wasn't perfect, it could have a few bugs here and there, but that's a genuinely really good feature that we had 6 years ago, by the way, that we no longer have. So FUT Champs has been watered down to less games. We no longer have the Champs channel. The rewards are significantly worse. And I don't know what you guys think. Obviously, Team of the Season is one of the more popular times in the game. In my opinion, I think you can't even really argue it because of the rewards, right? Now, I don't know whether you guys agree with me or not here, the way team of the season is, you know, when you have the player picks, like the players are guaranteed, like the TOTS cards are in the rewards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but should it not just be like that for every promo? Like, can you imagine how much more excited people would be to play this game and load up FUT Champs if, when it was FUT Fantasy, you had guaranteed FUT Fantasies in the rewards? You know, when it was Scream, which is something else they seem to have got rid of, you would have the Scream cards guaranteed in the rewards. I think it would be so much better for the game in terms of enjoyability. Maybe not EA's pockets, but for the enjoyability. It would give longevity to the game. I feel like we wouldn't have these dead periods where, you know, a certain promo comes out that people just can't be bothered to play because the rewards aren't worth it. We obviously, at the minute, outside of TOTS, you have the dead Team of the Week system, which is so outdated, by the way. You know, you can be in January and we're packing 85 informs for getting the top rank in the game. Like, it just, it's so not good enough. It's not even close to being good enough. So I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that. You know, what your solution would be. I feel like having the guaranteed cards in the rewards would add an awful lot to the game, in my opinion, and just give that little bit more hype. And like I say, I don't really know where I'm going in this video other than just a bit of a rant. But, you know, this has all been menu stuff really so far and rewards based. The gameplay, I mean, I often get a lot of stick, you know, for playing the old gen version of the game. You know, people say, oh, Jamboo, you know, you're just doing it for easier games. You can't hit a 20-0 on the new gen version of the game, which I've done, by the way. But the point is, for those of you that really are sick of this game, like me, you know, with the hyper motion engine, and all the, you know, the slow, unresponsive gameplay, I recommend you go and try out the old gen version of the game. If you're on a new gen console, you can play the old version of the game. You know, if you're on a PS5, you can still do it. So you will notice just how bad the new version of this game is. In terms of responsiveness, skill gap, you know, if you go and play the old version, which is more arcadey and stuff like that, you'll see how much more enjoyable it is and just how much more potential this game could and should have. Because, you know, I remember back in the day, I used to love this game, and I'm not saying it's not this game, by the way, not FC24. I mean FIFA in general. Like, I used to love it, man, and I don't know whether it's because I'm old now or whether the game really just has gone downhill. But I used to love that FIFA arcadey, quick gameplay, you know, with a good skill gap. I used to be a pro player, you know, for those of you that didn't know. So for me, you know, when playing a video game, being rewarded and a skill gap and things like this are high on my priority list for a game. I'm a competitive person. You know, I like to compete in video games, and this game, I honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse than trying to sit here and compete on this. Hence why I retired from being a pro last year. But, you know, from a gameplay standpoint, it's horrific, man. Like, slow gameplay. It's not responsive. Everything feels heavy. There's no real outplay potential other than abusing mechanics. You know, because I play other games, you know, when I think of Call of Duty, for example, you know, there's always an outplay. On every competitive game, there's an outplay. You know, you can do something special to ultimately defeat somebody. And yes, you can argue, you know, there is the odd moment of magic you can do on FC. But there's nothing really that you would, even from pros, look at and think, wow, you know, they've done something incredible there. And it's not because they're not capable, it's because the game doesn't allow you to. You know, you're forced in a certain way of playing, which is slow, methodical, really boring. You know, it involves a lot of recycling possession, abusing certain things, you know, whether it be the aerial plus, whether it be an outside the box Travella. And like, the guys playing at the top level of FC, they are very, very high level. But I feel like a lot of the talent is actually masked over by the game. You know, you're not able to express yourself on this game. I remember a quote from a Rocket League pro. I don't know whether you guys have heard of him, but Squishy Muffins. He's one of the best Rocket League players of all time. And I remember him saying that he likes to play Rocket League to express himself. And I couldn't think of anything more polar opposite on FIFA. When I hear a pro from another game say that, I just think, wow, man. Like, I wish that my video game, was enabling you to do that. Can you imagine jumping on FIFA and saying you were able to express yourself? It's just not a thing, is it? It's really not. You have to play a certain way. There's no personality, in your gameplay like there is in almost every other game. It's just the same washed over, boring gameplay. So there's that. But outside of the gameplay, I mean, it's just crazy, the amount of things that we either used to have or they started implementing and forgot about. Like, where are the... I mean, you can argue, you've got the daily knockout tournaments and those objectives and stuff, but I really miss the old style format. Like, remember the famous Royce and Aubameyang footies tournament? Where is stuff like that? I want more of that, being rewarded. Do mini FUT Champs tournaments, right? Mini tournaments where, say, you have 10 games to complete in 2 days, okay? And it is a max of 10 games, and there's actual proper reward systems. So if you hit 10 out of 10 wins in that mini tournament, you will get yourself a player from the current promo with a minimum rating, for example, and then just water the rewards down. I think these incentives to improve and make people care about getting better is so healthy for the game, man. It is so unhealthy to have a video game where people are not bothered at all. Like, it's literally turned into a card collecting game. The modes are so outdated. Like, we go to draft, which hasn't been changed or touched at all. It's you will have to tell me how long it is. It's longer than I can even care to remember. And I've actually heard that the reason draft hasn't been touched in so long is because the guy who coded draft left the company and they don't know how to change it. Which, if that is true, by the way, deep how shocking that is. Absolutely shocking from a multi-billion-dollar company. That is actually so embarrassing, by the way. I don't know whether it's true, but it really would not surprise me. Because over the years, when I've been playing this game, whether it be casually, as a pro, whatever, it is always the same with EA, man. It is just incompetence to the absolute highest level. Always has been, and sadly, I think it always will be. I've been in group chats when I was a pro player. Things where Discord servers where we were able to leave our feedback and stuff like that. Nothing ever gets done. They do not care for anybody's opinion other than the investors on the board or whoever it is that are obviously, making all the money. And that is it. They have no actual care for their product. They do not care. They could release the most embarrassing, poor, broken product, which you could argue this is, but they could release that and they genuinely do not care as long as the figures are there. And that is why this year, despite the player base being down and people being more disengaged than ever, they're making record profits, because what they've done to compensate for less people playing the game is they've just totally made it completely like pay to play. The constant store packs being rammed down everybody's throat is absolutely insane. Like, I don't ever touch the store section, and I don't advise you guys to either. I've spoke about this before. In the past, I've been a gambling man, but never on FIFA, because I don't even get the thrill of a gamble off of these packs, because 99.9% of the time, you were getting absolutely nothing. At least with real gambling, I could win some money or something. On this, do not waste your time or money, ripping through these packs. Seriously, no point. It's just a scam. It's an absolute scam. You've got the pack probabilities, which actually tell us basically nothing. You guys know all about, the over 0.1% or under 0.1, whatever they say. There's no accurate probabilities. You even got this at the bottom, look. Probabilities accurate as of 11:57 a.m. It's currently... Oh, okay, so that hasn't been updated in 2 days. So for all we know, 1 minute after that was put there, they could have changed it, and now there's a 0% chance of getting a TOTS player. Like, we just actually don't know. It's just not good enough, man. There's so much stuff wrong. So much stuff wrong. I think the actual, the ways of building up your ultimate team, because that's what it's meant to be, remember. It's meant to be your ultimate team. Something has to be revamped, and I know there's been minor changes. We've got in the play styles, which I think a lot of people do enjoy, although they've added broken things. But I remember playing Pez last year, and don't get me wrong, like, that game is far from perfect. But the way that you could play any players together and grow your ultimate team and upgrade your players by playing and stuff, I thought it was such a better system than what we have now. It's just so restrictive even to this day. Unless you've got icons and things like that, you're forced to having to play certain players from certain leagues, and that's before you even start, filtering it down to being able to use the meta players, because that's when you're really restricted. You can't. It is not possible to turn your favourite card from a lower league or something into a real top player. And people will be saying, oh, but Jamboo, you can because of the Evos. You still can't. You can't. You can get them to an okay level. You can't build your ultimate team and make that the best. It just isn't possible, sadly. I think the Evos has potential, but I actually don't rate how it's implemented. I think it's so restrictive. I think it's so. It just follows the typical EA stuff, being able to pay for it, having to use coins. It's more along the right lines. Don't get me wrong. I've always wanted a thing where you could grind your cards and upgrade them, which this does enable you to do. But I want to be able to do it with anybody. I want to be able to keep putting my 80 rated player into Evos whenever I want, no restriction. And if I play enough and do well enough, I want that to be one of the best cards in the game. That is how I think it should work. And I'm not saying it has to be done overnight. That could take me months. But I want the ability to do it. There's just so much, I think the main issue, at least for me, it comes down to the lack of incentive, to wanting to improve, not being rewarded properly for your play outside of TOTS. And even, you guys saw the other day what happened, when EA actually give out good rewards, they basically admit it's a mistake and just turn it back into the same watered down rewards that they intend for us to get. So I don't know, man. I mean, you guys will have to let me know what you think. I'm looking forward, as much as I'm not too optimistic about the other football games. I really do hope that there can be some sort of competition and change towards the game, but it would be very naive for me to sit here and pretend that I think anything's going to change. I've been around for way too long now. I've seen just about everything possible, from this company and their product. That for me to actually believe that there's going to be positive change, I think I'd have to be an idiot. I really do, because there's zero evidence to me that anything will ever get better. The only thing that holds a little bit of hope is that people, they are taking a stand now, it seems. You've got the boycott stuff, which you never know. Maybe it could do something. But overall, for me, I just want quicker, responsive gameplay. Be rewarded, bring back the Champs channel. Give us better rewards and just make the whole ecosystem of the game so much more healthy all round. The crazy thing is, EA could actually make even more money. Can you imagine the money people would spend on this game if they really enjoyed the product and it was like a very addicting, enjoyable football experience? They would make so much money through people enjoying it. And yes, they're making so much now. But I think if they improve the game to what people actually want, they could make even more. But from EA's standpoint, it's that risk. They don't want to change a working system that's worked for 10 years. Even if it could make them an extra few, 10 million, whatever it may be. They don't want to take that risk and actually make a better product, which you know, I guess it is up to the community. Ultimately, if people do stop buying the game, buying points, all this stuff, EA would be forced into change. But it's whether that will actually happen. But for me, yeah, interesting chat. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. It's a bit different from my normal style of content. I try and help you guys improve. That is what my channel's about. And yeah, I mean, I hope you enjoyed the video. There's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have covered that's flown over my head. There's so much. I could sit here literally all day and talk about how bad I think the game is and stuff like that. But I want a healthy chat with you guys. You know, keep the comments civil between yourselves. I know it's a hot topic. But I appreciate you guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. And peace.